Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today for the webinar on 25 years of automating digital publishing. This is a live webinar from our hometown. I am your host, Matt Larson, and today's webinar is brought to you in partnership with the Illinois Press Association, the Virginia Press Association, and the National Newspaper Association. I think this is one of our best turnouts ever because of all the promotions that they helped us with. So I want to thank you all so much. We love working with these associations and their members. If you're part of any of the associations, you know, there's some perks, especially the Virginia Press Association. So talk to your directors there. So I think we got everything straightened out logistically. So basically what we're going to talk about today is a little bit of a history of our hometown. We've been in business for 25 years, working with newspapers the entire time. And I'm going to give you kind of a breakdown of the major milestones over the 25 years to kind of give you a sense of where we came from and where we're going. So I know we have a lot of our hometown customers on with us today, but we also have a lot of new faces. So I wanted to give some quick background on the company. Today, we manage hundreds of newspaper websites and native apps across North America. Again, we only work with newspapers. We're super specialized. And we have a WordPress platform that is customized for newspapers. So it's really out of the box. It's got all the plugins that newspapers need. You know, WordPress is kind of a general purpose CMS. You can do a lot of things with it. So we've really customized it for you here. Okay. And I do have Slack going now, so I should be able to see your feedback, Tyler. Thank you. We are also a family business founded in upstate New York in 1997, and I'll talk a lot more about that in a minute. Our number one priority and focus has always been customer support. I think that is best represented through the PDF to HTML conversion service, which we developed in 1997 as the first automated tool for digital publishing. And this really helped a lot of publishers get online at a time where we weren't sure what the internet was going to become. We didn't have the resources to put anything into something extra like digital that no one really understood. So this was a very helpful thing early on. And as we go on through the years, over the next 25 years, it's been a constantly evolving platform. The fact that we're on an open source CMS allows that. But the fact that we also have this network of hundreds of newspaper publishers that are coming up with questions and issues that they need to solve, we can, you know, change the platform very quickly to meet those demands. So you'll see basically every feature that we talk about today is based on customer feedback and what we're seeing as needed in the industry. Okay, timeline of our hometown products. This is the outline of the presentation. I really think of the history of the company as a series of product releases. So we're going to go through everything from the original PDF to HTML conversion service, all the way to the really exciting AI-powered tools like related articles, audio articles, and news playlists that we have available today. So let's start here with a quick supercut from a recent interview that I conducted with Steve Larsen, my father and the founder of our hometown. He's also the chairman. So let's listen to this 4-minute supercut from our interview. We're going to have the full video released next week. And then I'll just kind of break down some of the points he talked about. But basically, we're talking about the early stage of the company, what were the initial offerings, and then what did we do in the early years to kind of get into helping newspapers. So let's get right to it. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the history of the company. You were there. I mean, I was there, but I wasn't working at the company 25 years ago. Can you just tell us what were the initial offerings of our hometown?
Okay, first of all, just to remind you that I was a software developer and I owned a staffing company for software developers at the time, and I wanted a product of my own. And initially, I had done some research this is in the mid-90s, trying to understand the internet. And I developed kind of a page that I got into Yahoo, so that brought a lot of traffic to it for the little town we lived in. Clifton, and still do. That's the corporate headquarters, Clifton Springs, New York. And so I had a lot of local pictures. And eventually I expanded that out into what became our hometown by putting thousands of pictures of local communities. And I had links to really as many web resources that applied to the local community as possible. So, besides the pictures I had put up. So that was links to the multiple listing service for all houses for sale in the community, weather, of course, there were local directories, I kept lists of any business that was online that was local that you might know.
And where did you go next with the company?
Well, we just really, it was hundreds of dollars we were able to get from, I think I got 20 of these ads people bought. And, so it wasn't really a lot, and certainly wasn't enough money to support it. So, I started talking to local newspapers, and actually, I would say the publisher of the Courier Gazette in Newark, New York, which is about 8 miles away, was really interested and quite helpful in understanding his business and helping him out. And I got 5 other publishers in the area, and we just expanded it from there.
You were always really good at understanding what's going to actually work, what's going to be effective. And you realized we cannot ask them to do more work to be on the internet. We've got to just make it as simple as possible. So when you say sending files, they were sending InDesign files at that time?
Well, I didn't even exist in 1995.
Oh, right. Okay.
96.
Another world, right.
Although Adobe had a product called PageMaker. So we did PageMaker files, and they were used to lay out the newspaper. PDF emerged as the preferred way for printers to get electronically the papers to print. And
so that's just everything's packaged in there. And so you created the software to pull that information out, right? To segment.
And I would say this is kind of unique because it's not an easy, we call it PDF extraction, which you would convert to regular HTML files. And I will say it's kind of unique because it's a tough problem. Sometimes it can be easy to get content out of PDF. Many times it isn't. Eventually, the paywall model came out, and we were very early on that. I think it's very healthy that the newspaper industry is moving back to the content side.
Right.
And charging for content. It's been demonstrated by other content producers that, you can get people to pay for content.
All right. So that was just a super cut from our interview. We talked about a lot of other things during this, but just wanted to give you guys the key points that are relevant to the early stages of the company. And so just to really, let's get right. Okay. So this is the first time, just so you know, trying a little hybrid live pre-recorded thing. So still some technical difficulties there. But initially, as he said, this was really formed as a digital resource for communities. There was no concept of, a local newspaper website really established yet. And so he just went out there and started kind of doing it on his own, gathering information, really serving as an aggregator more than anything of links and pulling together the photos that he did take. But very quickly recognized the need that newspapers would have for a turnkey way to get their content online. And probably even more important, he recognized that newspapers were already doing what he was trying to do, and they were doing it much better. And so if he could just help them with the technical side of things, that would probably be a good partnership. And so again, he developed this PDF to HTML conversion software that we continue to use every single day today for hundreds of publishers, that essentially makes it totally automated from the newspaper's perspective. They send us the PDF via FTP at the same time they send it to the printer, and within an hour or so, the website's fully updated. So totally automated from their perspective. And so that's been really important to us. Another big foundational switch for us early on has been the move to WordPress. So we for many years had a Drupal CMS that was built around the PDF to HTML conversion, which we also call full service. And so because it was so good at its job of making it full service, it wasn't actually optimized for, individual use or for self-service, as we've come to call it. The UI left something to be desired. So we started looking at WordPress, because WordPress, as many of you know, was originally a blogging CMS. It's become much more. It has all kinds of applications today, but we decided to apply it to newspapers. And because it is an open source CMS, it allows us to rapidly make changes. It gets us access to a world of developers, developing third-party plugins that integrate with the system. And we handle all that plugin integration and updates for you. So you kind of get all the benefits of WordPress without the headaches of having to deal with it yourself. Also, the open source allows us to rapidly develop new features, because we can just often download a plugin that does 90% of what we need and just make a few changes to customize it for the newspaper. Okay, and then basically this was all done, like I said, in response for a demand for the news to be more real time. Publishers wanted to be able to post breaking news over the course of the week more regularly, even publish updates to old articles or previews of upcoming stories on the website throughout the course of the week. So we really needed a better user experience for this, and that's what WordPress got us. Around the same time when we first moved to WordPress, we, again, in response to this demand for weekly newspapers to go daily on digital, we recognized the need to provide reverse publishing, which would mean that the publisher writes all their stories in the WordPress CMS, just like they're blogging, and then they can schedule the article to go live or publish it immediately. So that gives them the real-time daily publishing schedule, even though they may be a weekly. And then every week they export as an XML file to InDesign. So that allows you to just seamlessly feed all the content, completely structured. So all the headlines are separated from the body, and it's just a drag and drop layout at that point. And what's really key is that all the character and paragraph presets are automatically applied. So we're tagging what is the headline, what is the body, and then whatever you have set up in your InDesign template is going to automatically apply those styles. So the layout process is very quick, and it does save a lot of time. And again, it makes you digital first and more real time online. Okay, and so now we've got us to the point where we're publishing all of our print content on the website, whether it goes there first or it's extracted from the PDF. And so as a digital marketing company, essentially that's what we're doing. We're trying to just get these stories out there as far and wide as possible. So to us, it just made sense to automatically publish all of the articles on the website to social media. And so again, automated digital publishing is what we're all about. Any opportunity we have to take something off of the newspaper's plate, we're going to take advantage of. And it's pretty clear these days that you need to be on social media. There's obviously a huge audience there. It's growing all the time. Different demographics are growing on different platforms, but there's no doubt that we want access to social media audience. But we don't, I got to say that with, this one caveat. We're not posting content there. It's purely posting links to the website. So we're using Facebook to market ourselves. We're not letting them use us. And with this tool, it automatically sends the posts to these 5 social networks, assuming you have accounts there. So we can do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are the 3 most popular, kind of like the essential 3. On top of that, if you have an active LinkedIn page or a Reddit page, we can link in with those as well. And to me, this just is the natural extension of the PDF to HTML extraction, right? Because we're turning it in a simple way that's hands-off for you from a PDF to HTML, which is the language of the internet. And then we're just blasting that same article out to all the social platforms and bringing traffic in that way. And this trifecta, these 3 features, I think is really shaping up to be a powerful combo. The social auto posts with a metered paywall and the Our Hometown ad network. We haven't talked about that yet. I'm just going to mention it briefly here as a way to monetize your Facebook audience, essentially. But the idea here is that you're driving traffic by posting links to articles and links to photo galleries. A lot of newspapers are tempted to put photo galleries directly on Facebook just as a post, but that's a dead end post. The traffic is going to look at that, and yes, they'll engage with, your followers on Facebook will engage with the post, but that's the end of the interaction. Well, you need to get them to the website. So posting links to photo galleries instead is ideal. And then that traffic, we convert it into subscribers. That's, the preferred, I guess, revenue opportunity, the reader revenue. We want to capture that first. So we have a metered paywall. We've got intro discounts. We've got a whole package that, is kind of like the optimized metered paywall plan based on what we see at the New York Times and how they're capturing their audience. But basically, we're converting the subscribers, over time. The really active people, they're just going to buy once they hit that metered paywall, and then over time we gather more of the people that are on the fence. But the thing is, we can even monetize the traffic that bounces when they hit the paywall. Every time they're never going to pay, but they're still coming in from Facebook. They come in every week. We can monetize those visits with the Our Hometown ad network. And this is what we're doing with the news and review. This is just one case study. It's kind of a remarkable one, but there's many different examples of this. But this one was like the most dramatic to me. This is a paper in Indiana, and they came to us with no website, but they had a tremendous following on Facebook. For a weekly newspaper, they had 20,000 followers, which is anyone that, that's a weekly that has their own page knows that that's a huge amount. Usually we see around 5,000. And so once we launched the website, initially we had virtually no traffic, about 100 page views in the first week. So, and that's it would have stayed that way if we hadn't actively built a connection to one of the major drivers of traffic on the internet, which is Facebook. So we enabled social auto posts to begin sending every article published on the website to Facebook. And now we're averaging 5,000 page views a week, and it's all coming from Facebook. So I thought this was fantastic because they really did build a great resource on Facebook, but they didn't own it. At the end of the day, they did not own that audience. They didn't have their emails. They really didn't have any way to contact them outside of Facebook. And so we were able to capture that, generate a lot of subscriptions, and most importantly, start developing a habit of them going to the website. Okay, now once you get to the website, the goal to maximize revenue, whether it's through the ad network or just through subscriptions and helping people get the most out of their subscription, is through related articles. So, again, the idea is to keep them engaged with the website. And so how do we do that? When they get to the bottom of every story, they see a list of recommended related articles. And these are not, out of the box WordPress. I will tell you, if you try to start your own WordPress site, they have a feature like this. And, many CMSs do it this way, which is helpful, but it's not quite what we're doing. And that is to just show other stories from the same category. So you're in the local sports category. So it's going to show you other recent stories from that same category, which again is helpful. And I'm sure it does drive clicks because it's sort of like looking at the current page of the sports section. You're reading one story and you see other stories that happen the same week. But with related stories, we're using natural language processing and other AI tools like machine learning to improve the recommendations, to make them as relevant as possible to the content that you're actually reading. So it's looking at the people, the places, the organizations mentioned in the current article, building a word cloud, and then comparing it to all the other articles in the archives. And that's one interesting thing, is this really can drive people into the archives in a way that most recommended story widgets will not, because maybe the last time this festival, for example, was mentioned was in 2019, maybe they didn't even do it last year. So that would be an article that would almost never resurface itself without this kind of recommended technology. And as a little bit of a teaser for what's coming later, we are using the same technology to power the playlists that we're creating with the audio articles. So that's just a hint of what's to come. Before we get to that, I want to show you what Audio Articles is. So this is another AI-powered tool. It uses artificial intelligence to improve the quality of the transcription, but basically what it is a completely automated text-to-transcription tool. So every article that's published on your website is turned into an audible story. And then what's really fun, and this is a relatively recent development, is we can automatically feed all those episodes to the major podcast apps. So you can have a podcast for your newspaper that's every article, and you can listen. Basically, you can listen to the newspaper from front to back in these formats. So I'm talking about in Spotify and Apple Podcasts, all the major podcast apps where the audience already is, we can develop a new audience through audio. So let's watch about 2 minutes of this video. This is a recent interview with editor and publisher. And I think this just does, this is pretty much the exact demo that I would give you anyway. So I thought I would just show you the video where we're going through the features of the audio article player.
All right, so Matt, let's get back to you for a second. Now that we've talked about this thing, let's show what a physical audio article is. Can we do that? Turn on your mic, Matt. I turned down the music. I did mine. So there you go.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good. Let me share my screen. Got the audio shared. Okay. So you should be able to see the Signals website, This Day in History. Y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay, this is a kind of a cool story. I love the Beatles. Let's listen to this one. So what we have, just to give you a tour, is we've got the headline, and then right under that, we've got a little ad here. We'll talk more about that in a second. You'll hear the ad read at the beginning of the story. Then we've got the audio player, and then we've got the story. So you can listen and kind of look at the pictures and read the story at the same time. Let's give this.
Hold on, before you play it.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Sure.
This is a story that that guy's team created normally and just popped it into the CMS. And this is all dynamic and it happens. So you didn't write the story. You're just the background that creates. Okay, go ahead then.
Exactly. Yep. This is just a WordPress website that they're publishing on. So here we go.
Audible stories made possible by the Prescott Hearing Center. Get your free hearing test today. It was just 57 years ago today, February 9th, 1964, when the Ed Sullivan Show hosted four men that were about to become a world sensation. Ed Sullivan, America's King of Saturday Night, booked the new sensation for four shows, each with a massive viewership above 70 million. Though this was the Beatles' first American television appearance, their album I Want to Hold Your Hand had already made the #1 spot on the Billboard charts, and thus, with their meeting with Ed Sullivan.
Okay, pause it now.
Audible stories
that is not a paid guy from Fiverr, right? Professional voice. That is a computerized. It's sounding a lot better than my phone system voice, the one that we pay $39 a month. So we've gotten to a point now where there's inflection. Are you stuck with just the male voice like that, or can you go in different directions?
No, we're not stuck. Let's take a look at the Wilson County News. I'll let you hear what the female voice sounds like. So this is their website. I won't play as much as this one, just to give you a sample. Okay.
Audio articles on Wilson County News made possible by Witt's Barbecue Steaks and Catering in La Vernia. Large industrial facilities sprouting up near Floresville.
Okay, so there's all kinds of different male, female, different accents that you can choose from, different patterns of speech. There's a lot of different options.
Okay, so that's the quick demo. Nice and pre-packaged, so because we got a lot to cover today, so I wanted to just use the video for that. So that is, just to be clear, what we just showed is only available on Our Hometown's WordPress platform. So any Our Hometown customers, if you want to have players on the individual stories, we can set that up.
So Matt, let's get back to you for
very quickly. Now, if we skip to the next slide, I want to tell you about how you can get audio content on your website, turn your newspaper into a podcast as a third party. You don't need to switch to WordPress to have this. We've developed the tools to do it through an RSS feed. So any CMS has an RSS feed, so you could just send us that link, and then we will basically turn the text articles into audio on our system, and then put it into an embeddable playlist, which you can put on your website. So let's look at this example here from the Sedalia Democrat, just to give you a live example. This, again, is not on our CMS, but we just put this widget in here. And every article on the website is turned into audio and put into this playlist. So you can just hit play once, and we'll go ahead and give it a listen because it actually gives a nice example of a good use of the pre-roll ad.
Support local journalism. Subscribe today for only 99 cents for your first month. SedaliaDemocrat.com/99. Crash reports November 3rd. Lee Summit man injured in Johnson accident.
So there you go. And then you can go on and listen to the whole story. And those pre-roll ads, some people use them to run house ads to sell subscriptions like that. And some people are selling sponsorships, I think, as we heard in the video examples. Okay, so let's jump back into the slideshow here. Okay, and I just want to mention that you all are welcome to sign up for a free trial of audio articles. I just want to drop the link in the chat right now for this. It's if you want to continue using it after the trial, it's just $99 a month for most papers. That comes with a 2 million character limit, which is more than enough for most weeklies. But if you do need more than that, we can accommodate it. But we're looking at about, $99 a month for the feature. And again, no obligation to try it for 30 days. You don't need to change anything about your CMS. So check us out at that link if you're interested. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about what we can actually do after this trial. The newspaper playlist generator is the next in the evolution of this product. So we've got the article player, so you can listen to the story you're reading. Then we've got the embeddable playlist, so I can listen to a chronologically ordered playlist. So it's just the most recent first. But then the newspaper playlist generator, we can create playlists about anything. We can have the latest news. We can break it down by category, the most popular news. And we're also creating related story playlists, as we discussed earlier. So let's jump out of this slideshow one more time and go to this live demo. I really just want you all to see this. Our designer or our engineer is a big fan of Spotify. So as you can see, it's very much in that same vein, centered around playlists. That's really the interface. And as I scroll down here, you see we've got these collections. We can look at the top audio articles, most popular at this moment. This week's audio articles, again, because we work with a lot of weekly newspapers, we wanted to kind of keep that framing. And then also, can break it down by month. Then we've got a chronological list of the newest audio articles, and we've got ads all throughout this player. So, this publisher's monetizing this feature very well. And then we've got the category breakdown. So if you're interested in just looking at the latest news from a specific category, you can come in here and listen to a category playlist. Now, one thing I want to show you that's pretty cool is if I click on any one of these stories, again, it's going to generate a playlist of related stories.
Brought to you by...
So it's looking at the content of the article, the proper names that are mentioned, and formulating this playlist. And so potentially these are, endless playlists. There's always some degree of connection to the current story, but we're showing the most related first. And, we're just really excited about this interface. We were seeing adoption on the article level player, but the playlist, as you can imagine, it's just so much easier for people to consume more content. Of course, this is the model being pursued, by the big tech companies like YouTube. This is what they're doing. So, we think we're on the right track with this. You can switch it over to the article view as well. So you can be looking at the playlists and just skip ahead to articles that, interest you, or you can listen to the article and read it at the same time. So it's kind of a whole new way of absorbing the news that's just more audio centric. Okay. And I think that's all that we have time for on that right now. Maybe we can listen to some examples at the end of the presentation if we have time. But I think you got the idea. You've heard the male and female voice. Those can be applied to the playlist as well. All right. Our last kind of milestone product, and this is something that we've been working on recently. We have had apps for a while, but we put out a new release in the recent couple months here. Basically, the way we look at it is that in 2021, this is something that you kind of need to be able to offer. Looking at the behavior of our audience, between 70 to 80% of the traffic this year was from mobile devices. And that, varies depending on the market, but it's definitely the majority of the audience is coming in. And because we're on WordPress, every website is mobile responsive. So it's never been a problem to handle the traffic. But as many of the publishers that we work with have said themselves, the reason to get a native mobile app is to offer simply another channel to connect with readers. This is just, if they prefer to use apps, let's let them access it via apps, because it doesn't take any extra effort to update the app. It's fully integrated with the website. The second you publish an article on the site, it's on the app. It's fully integrated with the website paywall, and it has audio articles. If the website has audio, that will transfer over as well. The really exciting thing about this, I think, is the automated push notifications and the fact that they're customizable on the reader side. So every article that's published in the app could potentially go out as a push notification if the subscriber has opted into that category. So we think that's interesting because, at least in my personal experience, subscribing to apps, you might be into it at first, but then very quickly, you opt out of those push notifications because they're just too much. This is a way to titrate that a little bit more. And this is another feature that is available as a third party. So you don't need to change to our CMS to get this. We can do it through an RSS feed as well. Similar technique as we would do with the audio articles, but this would be a very turnkey way to get yourself set up with an app. Okay, and now this is kind of a product in a way, but really it's just a setup for a next interaction with anyone on the call that's interested. We have rapid prototyping at our hometown. This is how we get people up to speed very quickly. We've launched sites in as few as 4 days. Typical turnaround time is a couple weeks, depending on the newspaper schedule. But we start that right off with a free prototype that will turn around in less than a week. All you got to do is go to our website, our-hometown.com/contact us. Let me drop that link in the chat just for convenience. And you can fill out that form. Let's see, right there. And then send us a recent PDF edition via WeTransfer. Very easy service, doesn't require any sign up or anything. And it's just a good way to send large files. And we'll take that PDF and we will use our rapid prototyping to create a functional mobile responsive website. And then we'll use the PDF to HTML conversion to take your content and put it on that live prototype. So you actually have a website that has your content on it from day one. And then with a quick archive transfer, we could launch you on WordPress. Okay, so that is the next potential way for you to get involved. I want to tell you all a little bit about our upcoming events, especially our customers that are on the call today. As many of you know, we have monthly trainings with Kevin Slimp. We sponsor these trainings. We have a fantastic relationship with Kevin. And so we have decided to just sponsor all of our customers to attend his trainings. And depending on the topic, he's charging, between $70 and $90 per seat for these. And it's completely free to our customers. And I know a lot of the folks on this call take advantage of that. And I'm really happy to see it. We are thrilled to be able to invest in this kind of training. The next session that we have coming up on November 12th is Basic Illustrator for newspapers and magazine designers. So definitely let us know if you're interested. If you're not an Our Hometown customer, I can still probably get you into some of these trainings, especially if you're interested in a prototype with us and in considering switching. So please contact me if you're interested in that. Another session that we have coming up with the Online Media Campus, I'm really excited about. This is produced in combination with America's Newspapers. We're going to be discussing reviving newspapers in digital news deserts. This is going to be on November 18th at 2 p.m. And again, this is kind of related to the case study earlier that we had with News and Review, where we're learning so much all the time about how to get traffic to websites. It's not something that's just going to happen organically. I mean, at least in any reasonable time frame. So we'll be talking about some of the best ways to get yourself indexed by Google, get yourself into Google News, best practices for publishing on social media, and that kind of thing. Okay. So in the last few minutes here, we're just about done. I really appreciate you all taking the time to hear this really personal story about the family business and where we've come from, where we're going. I'm really proud of the feedback that we get from our customers. So I just thought I would put together a quick montage from just 4 of the publishers we work with. We do these publisher interviews all the time. I had more than I could even deal with in terms of editing this, but I tried to narrow it down to just 4 for a quick little opportunity to hear some testimonials from our customers. So let's check this out. We are just about done with the presentation, so I don't have any more content after this. So if you tune out halfway through, I won't be offended, but I will stay on after the video to answer any questions that you may have.
We love our hometown. We love working with you guys. We've been longtime partners, and you guys are always there right with us. So.
I really appreciate you taking the time and making yourself available.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so dazzled by the work. Yeah, I mean, I think it takes. I've been thinking a lot about all of the different elements of what goes into a successful launch. And
right.
I'm sure you've heard the term agile workstream methodology. I was trained, I took a course in agile methodology, which is in that instead of iterating, for months and getting something out, sort of doing it in an iterative process.
Right.
Which is what we were able to do with your team. Like they built something, then I reacted, then they moved the content over and then I reacted.
Right.
And it was very efficient that way because we were really organized and I was organized. So I don't think, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I think I also was a step ahead, a little bit. I knew exactly how I wanted it to be done.
Right.
And, but I think the point is I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know if you guys could deliver it. I sensed that you could, but everyone was as nice as you were, Matt. Like I knew you were so nice on that first call, but you've got a team that's really nice and really capable.
I know.
Those two things.
I'm really lucky. Yeah.
Capable, nice without capable is really great. It's not really great. And not capable, but really nice is also not really a good combination.
Right.
You have both,
exactly.
And everybody felt that same urgency and eagerness to get it launched as I did. I felt like they were at least as invested in it as me.
What made you choose our hometown? 3 years ago when we first met, what made you decide to switch from the other vendor?
Frankly, one of the things, I've worked with the other vendor for many years, but how responsive you guys have been, or you guys at least gave us the idea that you would be responsive, and it turned out that it's the case. So the support, I probably ran you through a few more hoops than you would have liked as far as design the site, and that's why I keep talking about we got to bring it back in. I asked my staff what would you like it to look like, and somebody said, "Oh, NPR is nice," and pleased with the work setting it up.
Great.
Any bumps along the road were fixed, so.
Let's talk about that for a second, like the prototyping process. How did that go? You sent us the link, you said it wanted to look like NPR, and then we just kind of made changes and there was just a bunch of back and forth, or how did that go from your perspective?
A lot of back and forth and a lot of things. I don't know if they were screenshots or things that I sent in a PDF or somewhere or other that got into the system. And I remember talking to you about, what the most popular design was. And at the time it was that conglomeration, as I call it, old-fashioned 150-year-old newspaper, but up at the top a bunch of images so that you'd click on to get to things. And I said, no, no,
thank you.
We're not going to do that, and that was no problem. I mean, I didn't have to fit into a cookie cutter kind of thing. So that that was one of the things. Price was right. The things we discussed early on, some of them we've implemented, some of them we haven't. you're usually a little ahead of, things I ask for, and then we got to catch up with staff and remembering to use them.
Are there any other features that come to mind? I really appreciate what you said in your email and what you just said about how we're ahead of the game and we're trying to drive things forward, and you guys feel like you're catching up with us, not that, you're pushing us to do things. So are there any other examples of that you can think of?
Well, I think, of course you're doing the audio now. But I think I mentioned today, you have to be able to start, stop, throw away, start over again quickly and inexpensively,
Right. I think that we do uniquely serve the weekly paper because we're kind of taking on that responsibility of the R&D.
That's key for smaller organizations, even larger, smaller organizations. I mean, we're, we have six papers, but put them all together and you've got, 15, 16,000 print circulation, so it's we're not a big organization, even though we have titles,
Right.
So, it's essential that we have a partner in terms of, willing to try things.
Was there any one thing about the company, Our Hometown, that made you, feel comfortable making that switch that you had, you guys had kind of admittedly procrastinated for a while just because you didn't want to have the problems, but was it because we only work with newspapers or because we're on WordPress? Was there anything about us that you liked, especially?
The CMS, the WordPress system was great.
Okay.
The fact that you were strictly with newspapers is like a huge relief that, you're specializing in what we do. It's not, you're actually tailoring to car dealers and people like this, and we're just part of it. The other great thing was that you're locally owned. You guys had a prototype to us in less than 2 days. And then we were up and running in, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, and that, the training and support and everything's been great.
Sweet.
Every time I've had a question, Terry especially, amazing. We just get instant response. Here's great directions and step by step that kind of walk through and how to fix it and what to do, and it's been great.
Amazing, dude. Thank you so much. Every one of those points you hit on, I really am so proud of the fact that we can do these things quickly. It's our focus. So you've just reinforced the value of that as a customer. So I appreciate that. Okay, that's all that I've got for that video.
We love our hometown. We love working with you.
And it did it again. Last video. Anyway. That's all that I've got for you folks today. I can definitely stay on and answer questions if you have them in the chat, or if you want to send me an email, we can schedule a one-on-one demonstration of our platform. Be happy to take you through all of our features. Also, the video for this will be live later today. We'll be sending out links, so feel free to share that with anyone that didn't get a chance to join. But that's basically all I've got for you. Again, I want to thank the Illinois Press Association, Virginia Press Association, and the National Newspaper Association for helping us get the word out on this. We've been doing these virtual conferences for almost 2 years now, probably one of our best turnouts today. I think that's fascinating. This is the one that's most like just a story. I'm just telling the story of our hometown, and we actually got the best turnout. I think that says a lot about what people respond to. And you all know that as storytellers, of course. So again, Matt Larson, I'm the president and CEO of Our Hometown. You can contact me at mcl@our-hometown.com. And I will send out, yes, Terry, I can send out those links. I can put them in the chat right now, and we'll also include them in the follow-up email that'll go out to everyone. So great idea. Thank you all so much. Again, I will stand by for questions, but I'll turn off the video and mic for now. Thank you again for joining us. Take care.
Brought to you by Beltone, a leader in hearing healthcare. As work continues on the Mingus Avenue reconstruction project, the contractor is preparing to pave the north lane of traffic. Paving is scheduled to occur on Thursday, November 4th. Effective at 7 a.m. on Monday, November 8th, the contractor will open the newly paved north half of the roadway between 12th Street and Main Street and close the south half of the road for reconstruction. Similarly to how it is now, we will facilitate two-way traffic on the reconstructed roadway. We ask that all motorists and pedestrians follow all posted signs. Thank you for your patience. Brought to you by Beltone, a leader in hearing healthcare. The City of Cottonwood's Historic Preservation Commission is excited to announce the return of the Cottonwood Historic Property Tour, formerly the Cottonwood Historic Home Tour, this November 13, 2021. After a 2-year hiatus, the tour will be returning in 2021 in a digital format. The public is encouraged to purchase a ticket for $25, which will include access to a video and a digital ebook. Brought to you by Beltone, a leader in hearing healthcare. The City of Cottonwood is seeking applicants to fill 2 partial-term seats on its Planning and Zoning Commission. 1 seat has a term expiring February 5, 2022, and 1 seat has a term expiring June 17, 2023. This volunteer position is appointed by the City Council and serves without pay. All 7 commission members must be residents of Cottonwood living within the incorporated city limits. The commission is responsible for the review of land use proposals, conditional use permits, zoning, subdivisions. Brought to you by Beltone, a leader in hearing healthcare. The Cottonwood Police Department has partnered with the Cottonwood Oak Creek School District in an effort to improve traffic safety for all schools throughout the Cottonwood area. They will do this by conducting a traffic enforcement project for the month of September. The project, funded by the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, GOHS, grant, allows for additional officers to be placed at and around public schools in Cottonwood. Officers will be watching for all traffic violations, including motorists speeding through school zones, vehicles driving past school bus warning devices, flashing lights with stop arms, and pedestrian crosswalks. Where portable signs are placed in school zones, drivers are not to drive more than 15 miles per hour while school is in session. The driver is also required to come to a complete stop when a child is in the crosswalk. The civil penalty will double if cited for any of these violations.
I think we got still a few people hanging out, so I appreciate that. I'm just browsing this feature just so you can all check it out with me. And I did not mention, but what we can do with this is, see, this is a standalone page, and it is on our WordPress platform, but we could give it as a third party, as a subdomain. So it would be like audioarticles.newspaper.com. And then you would have truly a page exactly like this. It would technically be a separate website, but your readers wouldn't be able to tell at all. And of course, for Joe and any other our hometown customers, this is just going to live right on your website. And the really cool thing about it is that we're drawing people into it all the time. I probably should have mentioned this, but I love this, that we're just making it so accessible by having right on the homepage, every article, you can link to the audio version. And that actually brings you into the playlist.
Brought to you by Bell.
Rather than just opening the story on the website. It puts you in the playlist generator, and then you've got the related stories playlist immediately. So you can see anytime anyone clicks on one of those links, they're going to be pulled into that player. So it's kind of a sticky experience in that way. Great. Thank you, Terry. We got a question. Let's see here. You know what? I messed that up. Thank you, Terry. Let me drop these in there right now. This should be going to everyone now. So those are, so for the few folks that are still on, a la carte pricing, you can look at our quote calculator, our newspaper on WordPress, just a free prototype, and also the 30-day trial of audio articles. So sorry about that. Hopefully you all can get. All right. I think that's all I got time for today. So I'll let you all go. Have a great day. Thank you for joining me again.